It burned for 17 days. A city of 500,000 people. Libraries that held the accumulated knowledge of 3 centuries. Temples, markets, children. The Roman general who ordered it, Scipio Aemilianus, stood on a hill and watched the smoke rise. And he wept, not from guilt, from prophecy. Because what Scipio said next, standing over the ashes of the greatest rival Rome had ever known, is the most important thing any conqueror ever admitted, and almost nobody knows it. To understand why Carthage had to die, you first have to understand what Carthage was, not what Rome said it was, what it actually was. At its peak, Carthage controlled nearly the entire Western Mediterranean. Its navy was the most sophisticated in the world. Its merchants had sailed to Britain, to West Africa, possibly beyond. It had a system of government that Aristotle, who admired almost nobody, called nearly perfect. A constitution that balanced monarchy, aristocracy, and democracy 200 years before Rome figured out how to do the same. And it had survived 2 catastrophic wars with Rome. The Punic Wars, wars that should have broken it permanently. Hannibal crossed the Alps with war elephants and came within a single battle of destroying the Roman Republic entirely. And yet, by 146 BC, 50 years after Hannibal's campaign, Carthage was rebuilding. Trade was recovering. The population was growing. Rome had received every war indemnity it demanded. Carthage had surrendered its military capacity. It had no army, no navy capable of projecting power, no capacity to threaten Roman interests. So here is the first question that should stop you. Why did Rome destroy it anyway? I want to stop here, because if you think this is a story about military conflict, you've already missed the most important part. The answer is one man, and his name was Marcus Porcius Cato, Cato the Elder. And he was, by any reasonable measure, one of the most consequential and terrifying political figures in Roman history. Cato was a Roman senator, a censor, a veteran, a man who had fought in the Second Punic War and watched Roman soldiers die on Italian soil at Hannibal's hands. He was also a man who had visited Carthage on a diplomatic mission in the years when Carthage was rebuilding and come home changed. From that visit forward, Cato ended every single speech he gave in the Roman Senate, regardless of the subject, with the same words. Not Carthage should be weakened. Not Carthage must be watched, destroyed, erased, made to not exist. For years, the Senate resisted. Other voices argued that a weakened Carthage was actually useful. It kept the other Mediterranean powers in check. It gave Rome something to point to. It maintained a balance. Cato's counter-argument was not military, it was philosophical. And it is one of the most chilling strategic ideas ever articulated in Western history. Cato's argument was this: it does not matter that Carthage cannot harm us today. What matters is that Carthage could harm us tomorrow. And if we allow something to exist that has the potential, even the theoretical potential, to threaten us, then we have already made a choice. We have chosen hope over strategy. And strategy, said Cato, does not hope, it eliminates. Eventually, Cato won the argument. The Senate voted, and in 149 BC, Rome sent an embassy to Carthage, not to negotiate, but to deliver a sequence of conditions that had been designed from the beginning to make war inevitable. What happened next was not a war. It was a mechanism. Stay with me here, because what happens next is the part every history class skips. Rome sent an ultimatum to Carthage in 149 BC. Surrender your weapons, surrender your warships. And then, only after Carthage had fully complied, Rome added the final condition, the condition they had always planned to add, but withheld until Carthage was defenseless. Abandon your city. Move 10 miles inland. You may survive as a people, but Carthage as a place, as a port, as a civilization, must cease to exist. This was not a negotiation. It was a script. Every condition was designed to be accepted so that the final, intolerable condition could be delivered to a people who had already given up everything they could use to resist it. Carthage refused, and in that refusal, desperate, irrational, magnificent, it sealed its own fate. The people we are talking about were real. The siege of Carthage lasted 3 years. 3 years of a city that had no army, no navy, no allies, fighting with improvised weapons, stripping temples of their metal to forge swords, women cutting their hair to make ropes for catapults. A city that knew it was going to lose and fought anyway. When the walls finally broke, Scipio's legions moved through the city street by street. Every structure was demolished, every inhabitant killed or enslaved. The site was cursed, and, though historians debate whether it literally happened, the story says that salt was sown into the earth so that nothing would grow there again. Whether the salt is myth or fact almost doesn't matter. The intent was clear. Rome did not want to defeat Carthage. It wanted to unmake it, to remove it from the record of human civilization so completely that its absence would be felt. And now we return to Scipio, standing on the hill, watching the fire. His advisor, the historian Polybius, who was present, recorded what Scipio said, and it has echoed through every serious study of power ever since. If this is the kind of history you've been looking for, subscribe. There is a lot more where this came from. Scipio looked at the burning city and recited Homer, 2 lines from the Iliad about the fall of Troy. And then he turned to Polybius and said, the general who had just committed the most complete act of destruction in the ancient Mediterranean was terrified by his own success, because he understood what Cato's logic, taken to its conclusion, actually meant. If you destroy everything that could threaten you, you are implicitly acknowledging that you too could be destroyed. You are not ending the logic of empire. You are announcing that you are subject to it. And here is the loop that closed slowly over the next 6 centuries of Roman history. After Carthage, Rome had no existential rival, and without a rival, it turned inward. The wealth of the Western Mediterranean, now entirely Roman, flooded into a republic that had no structures to handle it. Inequality exploded. The Roman Senate that had once debated the fate of Carthage became consumed by internal power struggles. The republic that destroyed Carthage did not survive Carthage by 100 years. Cato got exactly what he wanted, and it may have been the thing that ultimately killed Rome. 2,000 years later, standing in what is now northern Tunisia, You can walk the ruins of Carthage. There is almost nothing there. A few columns, some harbor remnants, mosaic fragments in a museum 40 minutes away. Cato 1. And standing in those ruins, you have to ask yourself the question that Scipio couldn't stop asking himself on that hill. Is ruthlessness the same as strength? Is eliminating a rival the same as securing your future? Or is the act of destruction, the decision to unmake something rather than contain it, always also a decision about what kind of civilization you are becoming? Rome chose Cato's answer, and for a few extraordinary centuries, it worked, until it didn't. That question, whether Rome's greatest triumph was also the seed of its greatest failure, is one we are going to follow for as long as this channel exists. Because history doesn't give you tidy endings, it gives you patterns. And the pattern that starts here, with the smoke rising over Carthage in 146 BC, does not end for another 600 years. If you want to follow that trail, subscribe.